Hey, true believers. Today we are going over The Death of Doctor Strange, issue 5. This is the final part of the miniseries, and I have to say that Jed MacKay is quickly becoming one of my favorite writers at Marvel. He thoroughly utilized Stephen's mythos, and the story in and of itself was serviceable and joyful, though there are some issues, and we'll get into that. Let's talk about who made this book. This is Jed MacKay writing, Lee Garbett doing the art, Antonio Fabela doing the colors, VC's Corey Petit doing the lettering. Here's everyone else working on the book, and Doctor Strange was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. So last issue, we found out who Stephen Strange's killer was, and his name's Calicius or something like that. I tried to go back and look at his mythos, and he was very much just kind of a underused villain throughout the years, and I can kind of see why Jed MacKay kind of used him as the killer, because he's not as a prime suspect as the rest of his rogue gallery. Now, the way that he defeats Calicius, it's kind of horrible. Let me see if I can get into it. While all this is happening, the mothers have approached, ready to take everybody down with the Peregrine child, which I feel like, again, if you didn't read the spinoffs, then you're not going to really know a whole lot about the mothers or the Peregrine child. This is what I'm talking about when you're going to make an event. Either make all the big stuff happen in your main book, and then the tie-ins kind of loosely connect. I think the best way like something like this was handled was the way they did the Death of Superman, where instead there wasn't just like a death book per se. It ran across, Superman, Action Comics, Man of Steel, Adventure Comics, Justice League, etc., so forth. So in order to see what happened next issue, you actually had to buy the books, like the single issues. And I think modern comic writers, editors, etc. are kind of forgetting that. So anyway, that was the only thing about the main book that kind of irritated me, is you don't really get a whole lot about the Peregrine child and the mothers. So this focuses primarily on Stephen and his death, which is okay with me. I enjoyed that, but I had to establish that because that's kind of the backdrop ticking bomb of this book. So without trying to give away too much, again, spoilers ahead. So if you've not read this, pause the video, go get the book, and then come back. We found out with Calicius what happens is he killed Stephen Strange and took his hand so that he could have his magic. And Calicius basically says, you can't do this. You can't change me. And as if we remember at the beginning of this series, the Stephen Strange we know calls himself the Sorcerer Supreme, and how he's finally found a balance of his life, how his hands have been restored so he can go back to being a surgeon, and life feels good. He's able to juggle being the Sorcerer Supreme, the Strange Academy, etc., so forth. Well, when Calicius says you can't do this, this younger version that's more arrogant says, I'm the master of black magic. I am inhuman when it is required. Perhaps in time I will grow to be kinder, more merciful. In fact, I believe I do. And in that moment, there is a zounds. But again, as I was saying, they're talking about this battle raging outside. We don't get a whole lot of it. We just kind of get some generic splash pages, which, don't get me wrong, the artwork's okay, but I kind of feel like these should have been a little more intense. Like I've seen splash pages that kind of accent the book, and you're thinking, holy crap, as where this just kind of looks like the rest of the book. So the artwork's serviceable. I enjoy it, but I kind of wish when they start to do the main splash pages that these should be like, bam, in your face like it used to be. And I will say, it's nice to actually see the X-Men and the Avengers working together instead of against one another. See, like this to me is like classic Marvel, minus X-23 being Wolverine. I hate that. But seeing Cap, Cyclops, Rogue working alongside Iron Man and all of the Avengers, just absolutely phenomenal. Now, I like is how the battle's raging. Stephen talks about what a hero is, and how there's always a price for things, and how the X-Men and the Avengers working side by side, facing one catastrophe after another that may extinct mutants, may kill the Earth. And yet, they fight for this cause in his name. They have come to stake their lives in a battle that must be fought, to face down their own death, simply because it must be done. Because that is what they do. That is who they are. Whew, that gave me chills. And that's exactly what the X-Men and the Avengers are, heroes. Not segregationists that hold themselves off on a horrible, horrible island. Now, I don't want to give away too much. There's a way that the Peregrine Child is defeated. And in the end, think back, for those of you that have read The Death of Superman, and how heart-wrenching it is when Lois Lane's holding Clark in her arms, and he's saying, "Is Doomsday defeated?" And she's like, "Hang on." And it gut punched you, and it wrenched at your soul. And then, even though, yes, The Death of Superman was a gimmick to make money, Dan Jurgens and the rest of the Soup team cared. And so even though they knew the fans were spending money for all these books, they made them engaging. And again, at the end of The Death of Superman, we didn't get Superman or like a replacement right off the bat. We got Funeral for a Friend, and how everyone was trying to fill the shoes of Superman. I kind of wish here that Jed MacKay would have done that, because at the end of this miniseries, immediately they jump into the next Doctor Strange series, which we'll be going over issue 1 here shortly. But I think after this book, they should have let things rest and shown how, like, friends such as Ilyana Rasputin, who looked up to Doctor Strange, Dr. Voodoo, even the stupid dog, what's the dog's name? I can't remember. But to just show, how do we live in a world where the Sorcerer Supreme that is supposed to keep magical entities from attacking the Earth is gone? It would have seemed to have been great to see what kind of impact that world, that type of world, would have been. Now, I haven't read the next issue, so maybe there are some things like that. But in terms of pacing, like they did The Death of Superman, like they did Nightfall and Knight's Quest for Batman, or The Age of Apocalypse, how things had a moment to breathe and was spread out. And because of it, those are mythos that are still talked about to this day, umpteen years later. And I would like this story to kind of go down in that mythos, because Jed MacKay really did an awesome job. All 5 issues were solid. Yes, it does fall victim to things about some big plot points going off into the tie-ins, which we've talked about that till we're blue in the face, especially with Dark Knight's Death Metal. Anyway, overall, Death of Doctor Strange, excellent read. Highly recommend it. Great art, awesome storytelling. And if you're not very versed with Doctor Strange, this is definitely a good jumping on point. So if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Zounds bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback and thoughts down in the comments below, or social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.